Alright, hello everyone. I am Khan, and I just wanted to do a quick overview, um, in case you weren't very prepared for how defense is going to look in this game and kind of how generally defense should be played. Now, a few disclaimers: I didn't really watch this game. I didn't really know in depth the rules as well until today, and I haven't really followed week 0, week 1, whatever the set meta is, but I have a good understanding of kind of what other teams are looking for, so should be able to give you a general idea, and you can adapt as you go. So the three main styles of teams, first of all, is the three offense, right? It's pretty simple. Um, in this game where there's a very limited amount of space you can play defense in, that could be what teams are looking for. Another is the two offense, one defense. That's probably the most popular, and that's probably the role that you might try to fill if you're trying to form a alliance for the elims. And the other one is two offense, one hybrid, and this might work if the alliance you're going against is doing three offense and it's very difficult to stop them. Um, so you want to play a hybrid, or maybe it goes well against the defense because this guy's not gonna know really who to defend. If they defend you, then great, because they're only defending half a scoring robot. If you're playing a hybrid style, you're gonna be mainly focusing on your game pieces, getting those game pieces easy for your team, and harder for the opponents. And so a lot of these styles can work well against each other, and just kind of depends on match to match where opponents like to play things like that. But in a week 2 competition, generally things tend to be more brawly, as I like to say. It's very strategies and pathing isn't very sophisticated. A lot of teams barely have a functioning robot, and so even if you don't have as functioning of a robot as you'd like, if you have a good idea of where to move things and kind of how to move around the map, then it'll make you seem a lot better. Um, so, okay, off timer explanations. So, this is generally kind of what I've seen teams do as autonomous ends. So Thomas is gonna end. Beep. Alright. There you can already see. Alright, 678 instantly went for that ball. And 696 immediately went for the cone. Reason being, these 6 are incredibly important to how your early game starts, because look, in autonomous, your scores are pretty close. What's going to give you the first leg up? It's going to be getting these in the middle, so that you can since like you can only get game pieces from these areas. If you can get it from the middle, which is a lot easier to get, that's going to be really important. And so 696, they instantly accelerate, get the far one. 1678 secures this one. And so when you're and I'm pretty sure Annie will do this, but whenever you're talking to your alliance partners, you should make sure that you have an idea what you're gonna do off the rip, so that you make sure to secure that early advantage from the start. Alright. Alright. Next thing is defense pathing. So I'm gonna bring up the field here, and I'll use this for red. So when you're on the red lines, you're trying to score here, and you need to come from here, right? So there's two there's two areas that you're going to get, and there's one large, there's a general area that you're trying to score into. You're never going to be able to tell what the opponent's I should do offense pathing first, actually. So we'll switch that around. So this is offensively, right? If you're a scoring robot, if your opponents are scoring, what are they thinking? Well, they're not going to go into these areas. and they're not going to go into these areas, which leaves, very few lines that they can take. So they can take this line, they can take this line, they can take this line, or they can take this line. That's really all they can do. Unless they're gonna go through this, which I haven't seen a lot of teams do, and generally they probably won't. There's really only a few lines that they can go through, and so you should be thinking about where the opponents want to go when you're trying to play defense on them, right? And if you do end up playing offense, where do you want to go so that you're not as obstructed as much, right? You can see this is generally one area, and this is another area. That's going to be that's going to have a lot of traffic, and obviously your endpoints, right, are here, here, and here. So if you're on offense and you're hanging around here, you're probably doing something wrong, unless you're having a really hard time with the defender. And so you should think about what the most optimal path is, because when teams are watching you and you're going in some crazy weird path, they're going to be like, why are these people randomly turning? You're not maintaining your acceleration, you're making it harder to control yourself. Doesn't look good on you. Okay, defense pathing. So if these are the areas that we highlighted, right? Sorry, like here, 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 and here. You as a defender want to look at commonalities, right? Where can you play that you're the most effective at being? So what I see a lot of teams do is they just hang around this area, and as a default that's pretty good, right? But you have to consider your own alliance, because their pathing is this as well, right? They're trying to score like this. So you can possibly be the best counter to your own offense, and you definitely don't want to do that. So I think being able to play around this line in general is going to be really strong, and possibly even go somewhere around here. You don't want to play in an area that is too big for you to cover. So you don't want to be like, I'm going to play defense on the entire side, because you're never going to be able to cover that. So I would look at it in terms of quadrants, and kind of see where it's easiest to cover, right? So you're going to have generally, let's say, these quadrants. And you're probably never going to be playing here, so this one doesn't matter. But if you're a blue alliance defender, you can choose 3 positions to play generally. I guess 4 if you count like this middle one. But you should kind of figure that out at the beginning, so you're not just roaming around aimlessly. That's kind of what the map is going to look like in both scenarios. And then point delta, right? So this goes into more just more into when you should do certain things. But if you have 0 scoring capability, this part doesn't really matter. But if you have some scoring capability, right, you should look at how much can my alliance score, how much is my alliance scoring. And this isn't really more for the main driver, it's more for the drive coach and possibly the human player or whatever other support staff you have around there. But you want to make sure that you're doing what's most optimal for your alliance right now, and make sure you communicate what you're going to do. So if you're really close in terms of scoring, then maybe you bringing the game piece over to your top scorer, or maybe your top scorer is having a difficult time getting around defense at a certain time. Maybe switching it up mid game, or maybe you bringing stuff to them is going to be a lot better. So yeah, So offense pathing, we went through that. Most teams, if they have to turn or if they have to take detours, they don't want to do that. So there's generally three reactions that teams are going to have. The first reaction is they're going to try to push you out of the way. This is teams like 44-14, for example, who know they can push you out of the way, and they would rather just push you out of the way rather than try to go around you and possibly mess up their own alliance pathing, or their own pathing, and make it more difficult for them to score. There are other teams who prefer to just skirt around you. This is a lot of teams like, I'm no 6070 did it last year. Not sure about this year, but they won't fight you. The One for Its Baby from Texas is a good example of that as well. And the third one is people just stall, right? They will do the thing where they sit here and they try to go this way, and you're standing in the middle. And those are those people are stupid. So that's like great. You can take that free win. But there's generally gonna be three reactions, and you should get acquainted with being able to recognize what a certain team does and what they like to do, so you can react accordingly, right? If this is a team that likes to just skirt around, then you should focus on being at the end destinations, because as we showed, if we did on the other side, didn't we? If they're on the red lines, they have to generally go through two zones to score it. So you can preemptively stay around here or play here and go to whichever direction they're moving in, so that you can play good defense instead of being in the middle and just kind of being like, oh, they ran away from me, right? That just makes you look ineffective and like you don't know what you're doing. If they're a team that likes to just push at you, right, then you gotta think, okay, well, if I am a blue robot and I play right here, I'm gonna get pushed into foul zones, so don't do that, right? Maybe you want to play somewhere more in the middle so that you can get in a pushing match, or possibly you can use their pushing match against them, right? Because as we remember, all your opponents, their alliance partners, need to go through the same direction. So if you're having a big old fight in the middle right here, you're probably going to be a nuisance to their alliance partners as well. And if that's something you can identify, right, and you should be calling that out to your alliance partners so they can get out of the way of the action, and you can effectively defend two robots at once. I showed this example from Rapid React in one of my other videos, but some teams were really effectively able to use the opponent's counter defense or their opponent's defense against them and defend two robots at once, or make their top scorer defend another robot on their alliance. And if the team, as I said, if they just kind of, just go left and right, don't really know what to do, then good job, right? You have a good point delta on them. And then how to not look lost. So this is generally more just general kind of philosophy on driving. But acceleration, deceleration in an FRC game, again, I don't have experience with swerve because we never did it in my years. But if you're not comfortable with your acceleration, get comfortable with that. You don't always have to fully accelerate. And if you're quickly accelerating, quickly decelerating, right, you're rocking back and forth, that's going to make you less controllable. That's going to make you look like you don't know what you're doing, and you're just kind of stopping because you need to think about what to do next. And that's the thing I really want you guys to avoid, is kind of just stopping and then thinking about what you're going to do and then doing it. It should be a second nature. And I know without a lot of driver practice it's difficult, but with enough watching and with enough, and you should be doing a good job about setting protocols up and kind of understanding what your guys' reactions should be. And so it should become second nature, probably by like halfway through quals, right? practice turns. You don't want to be overturning. You don't want to be turning unnecessarily. You don't want to be turning and then turning again. Make sure that if you're gonna stop, then you stop in the direction that you want to move in next, or that you're able to position yourself, because your intake and whatever, your scoring mechanism are on opposite ends. Make sure you're well adjusted for that. Throttle power, that's kind of the same thing as before. You don't always have to be 0 or 100, right? You could be somewhere in the middle. And reads, so that's what I was talking about before, is you don't want to just sit monkey in the middle and not really have an idea of what they're doing, and so you just kind of are chasing after them, but then you realize you have to go back, so you go back and you end up not doing anything. Those are teams that my brother and I used to call they're lost, and you don't want to do that, right? You want to have a good understanding of what their opponent's reaction going to be, so that you're proactive. Designate someone to watch referees. This is kind of more of a general, drive team thing, but you should have someone be able to call out if you're about to be in the zone, the opponent's zones, right? If you're getting fouled, things like that, counting pins, and you'll be able to gauge an understanding. That person will be able to have a good understanding of, the referees, here are very strict on pins. They start 1 instead of 0, 1, right? So you're gonna have idiosyncrasies across a lot of events. So having that kind of experience is really good. And communicate, be coachable, right? Maybe there's a drive coach on your alliance that has a game plan that they really want to execute. Well, how can you incorporate your team's overall vision for the competition into that? Because you're going to have an idea of how you want to win the competition, and then you're gonna go down, okay, we need to get picked for an alliance, how do we do that, things like that. And so you're gonna have certain things you want to do every match that your team has to stick to, and so you want to be able to weave that into the plan. And if things are happening during the match, for example, team 1642 is always just ramming into us, then your drive could just say, hey, you guys should go around, right? Things like that. And defense styles. So there's a few styles of defense, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with the terms, but I'll just quickly go over them before we watch some matches. Is a man defense or contact defense, right? That's where you're following one robot around. That's gonna be harder this year, just because they can easily skirt around you. So this is good when, like, in 2019 you can only score, or one robot can solo a rocket, then you can try to shut down one area, but it's a little harder this year. The other one is the positional defense. Goal oriented positional defense. This is generally what I was talking about before, choosing a quadrant to hang out in, and then shut down that area, right? Or just say we're gonna hang around here, and we're gonna make sure they try not to get into here, or we're gonna hang around here, try not to get into there. Obviously, there's downsides, right? If you're in the middle and they get past you, it is what it is, right? If you're here and they get past you, or they're both on this side, be ready, right? But you should make sure that you're always doing something. So it kind of goes back towards what I was talking about in terms of where is it safe for your alliance, and where is it not safe for your alliance. Where is it safe for your alliance, and where is it not safe for your opponents? I called it map control. You can call it whatever you want, but if you're supposed to just be controlling this area generally, so that they can't, commute this way, and they're both not near you, well, what are you gonna do, right? You can make certain zones safer for your alliance. If your alliance is trying to get through here and there's a robot, in this zone, go to them, right? Don't just sit. And if you do just sit, make sure you're positioned so that you can have the most time to react to the opponent's next move. If both your opponents are here, you probably shouldn't be here because it's going to be difficult for you to instantly react. You should be a little further back. Maybe not that far back, maybe like here, right? But you should make sure that you're always doing something productive. If you are just sitting there, which I'm not saying just sitting there is bad, but if you are just sitting there, you should be aware and looking at the different things on the robot or on the field, right? Obviously the main driver is probably focused on the two robots or the one robot he's supposed to defend, but your drive coach should be looking at where are your alliance partners. Can we help them? You know, does our main scorer need help because they're being shut down by a defense spot? So you can be useful at all times while maintaining the area you're supposed to maintain. And then hybrid. So again, this kind of depends on your scoring capability, but if you can, you know, you're hanging around, right? Again, in this area, and you can get a ball and just kind of dump it in this area for your red alliance members, then great, right? That makes it harder for them to get. That makes it easier for your opponents, your alliance to get. Everyone's happy. If there's you know, a cone on the ground and you can do that, bring it over here, then great. Right? Again, you just have to consider the strengths and weaknesses of your alliance partners. Game piece starvation, that doesn't really work as much in this game, but this is kind of if you have a very limited number of game pieces on the field. The equivalency to that would be playing here, right? Playing here. Or playing here. And game piece choking. So this is the opposite of game piece starvation. You want to make it harder for your opponents to get their things. So if there's a cone here, or a cone here, you know, they can easily nip and get it. So maybe you want to just push it over here. Again, you have to be careful. Game piece things, defense to do with game pieces is kind of harder in this game because you're very protected in certain areas. But I think it's mostly going to look like how to make it easier for your alliance partners to get game pieces, and if there is a game piece near your opponents, how to make it harder for them. I don't really want to watch all these. I have a lot open that I kind of just watched in general. But there was one 3175. Yeah, Michigan. So 3175, right? Great defense team. They played defense in the finals of 2x4 and they brought it out in the finals. So your alliance captain, you know, star defense player, right? I don't know how to change colors. It used to be green, whatever. But look at where 3175 are playing, right? All right, let's rewind a little bit because I was distracted. 135. Match starts, they come out from over here and they're instantly going for the ball. They're punishing the team who tried to do what I described, right? This robot tried to get the game piece that was here, they punished them, right? Very smart heads up play, because you know that they're going to be coming towards the middle. They're going to be coming towards you. You don't have to go far away. And so they're punishing the team that's coming close to them. And that's a great trap, right? Right? Interception. They were going to go this way. Now they have to go around. Now they're going back here because they know they have a timing window in which they can switch targets and then they can come back, right? That's one thing I think experienced drivers do and experienced drive coaches do, is they recognize, okay, there's a robot coming this way. We can hit them and then go back to our target. Being tunnel vision on one target isn't very good, and being tunnel vision happens when you have only one person working, the driver, right? Because only the driver, if he's only looking at one spot, he's not going to notice other things. And so it's up to the rest of the drive team to help him with that. Right? Right now they know both of their opponents are scoring, so they can do whatever they want here. And it's fine. Look at that. They see them coming towards this way, they intercept. Right, 7244 did bad here. They should have moved out of the way so that their alliance partner can get through. But now they fell into the trap of getting defended by one robot. Look, at this point, right, if you're in this situation where you're supposed to defend, the counter defense, the enforcer, try to shut down their defense, their defense spot, right? Sometimes you might want to just get out of the way. Sometimes that's the easiest thing to do. So that's another thing, right? Getting out of the way. If these guys backed off, for the past 5 seconds, what team is this? 5505 probably could have gone through. But now they're just engaged in the fight. So at this point in the match, these guys know that if they keep playing defense, then they're going to automatically win because you're already ahead. And so you kind of need to consider, the circumstance in the match, and they're going to continue playing defense because it's working. If no one scores from now, then you still win. So I think they're trying to target 5505. And this is great call by 857, right? They went this way instead of trying to go through. And I'm not sure why 7244 aren't adapting, but if I were 7244, I would be like, this isn't working. Like, we're not able to shut down 3175's defense. So I would make a switch up. I would, defend one of the other two robots, probably 857, honestly. But so yeah, and this can be the main driver. This can be the drive coach. I would make sure you guys understand who's going to do what, and make sure you communicate that as you're going to do it. Even if it's the main driver's call, you should still communicate that so that the drive coach can communicate with the alliance partners. But make sure you have that structure going into the competition so that you know who's doing what. I mean, 3175 are doing insane right now, right? They're doing everything. And I think it's climb time. But you can kind of see a lot of the micro decisions and a lot of the 3 second, 5 second timings really matter a lot, because there are small timings, like at the very beginning you saw, where a less experienced team would just kind of sit and wait, and that's really not what you want to do. Or a less experienced team would just go to their spot and just sit, and they could have stopped one team from scoring one ball. I wanted to just quickly go over one more match, specifically focusing on 1714 in this Lake Superior. So they're going to be the red defense, right here. So you can kind of see what they're doing. Wait, go back here. They wanted to get this cone, right? They recognized, okay, well, we're not going to be able to stop these guys, right? You're positionally behind them already. And so what are you going to do? Are you going to just chase them? No, you're going to be useful to your allies. So they were like, alright, that cone's hard for my friends to get. I'm going to help them. Right? Now you're in position to actually play defense. They're playing defense. They know, right? You look over here. They know that these guys have to get to here. That's their win condition, right? If they're not getting balls, they're not winning. And so they know that they're going to do that. And so they, instead of pushing them here, because if you, in this scenario, right, if you push a robot like this and they're moving this way, they're gonna go this way, or they're gonna go this way, but they're gonna escape you one way or the other, because you're just simply not gonna have enough traction to push them completely vertically. And so what they do is they get ahead of them and then push them from the front, right? You'll see they get ahead, they push them from the front, and then they back off. Okay, well, they should be backing off. Yeah. But alright, look at that now. These guys know these guys are trapped, right? So if they just hang around here, make sure they don't get fouled, make sure they have a difficult time getting out, this is great. Right now, these guys should probably be moving out this way if they need to, right? Get out, don't go through this way. It's kind of trolling, but yeah. So look at them now, right? 82 seconds left, not in any position to do anything. I feel like they should probably move over here a little bit, but they make sure they're getting out of their alliance partner's way, and then they're ready for him, right? So in a match where it's this close, like, those little delays are very helpful, but you can't really do that if you're just chasing them. And so you can see 17-14 is pretty reactive in what they, or proactive in what they do, and that's what I liked about this match. And they're not chasing too far, right? They recognize we lost this prey. We're not gonna push the issue, right? You'll probably see them going back soon. Yeah. But not sure if they win this match. Probably very close. Yeah, came down to penalties. But you can kind of see in that match, like, being proactive and understanding what your opponents have to do for them to win is really important. So hopefully that helped. Again, the biggest thing is communicate and don't look lost. How to not look lost? Please do not look lost. If you look lost, even if your defense isn't great, if you look like know what you're doing, a lot of teams will pick you. Being lost, turning way too slowly, chasing opponents that you're never going to be able to catch, things like that will really tank your stock. And so I would highly recommend in your off time to just watch matches, right? See what opponents are doing for them in order to win, and see how you can counter that on your own. Again, as a recap, if you just skip to the end, it's probably, you'll have it at the end whenever you need to watch it. But zones, right? Zone, 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 right? So you have to go through one of these zones. How to play defense? Divide into quadrants. Are you going to play here or here? Option 1, option 2. Pretty popular options because it gets you a lot of real estate. But again, that means if you miss someone, there might not be someone coming back to you. And again, right, how do you react to your opponents? And then 3, 4, 5. Make sure you're not getting in each other's way, your opponent's way, or make sure you're getting your opponent's way, but not your alliance partner's way. You can be your alliance partner's greatest defense bot if you don't back off at a certain time, or if you're just in their way all the time. Don't be a bad teammate. Good luck when you're playing defense. I'll probably do another video after Orange County